on your computers there and your screens. And we'd love to hear from you. If you've got questions that make sense or feedback in regards to what we're talking about, feel free to type that in there and let us know, and we'll do our best job to bring that into the conversation live and at the moment. So with that being said, I'm gonna start working down the panelists here. I'm gonna start with Kurt. Kurt comes to us from Keller Williams. And Kurt, if I could put you on the spot for starters, I'd love to have you just kind of dig into where, when, and why you got into real estate. Give us a little bit of a backdrop.
Sure. So yeah, Kurt Ware here. Hi, everybody. Originally born and raised in Minnesota, moved down here being Sarasota Siesta Key, right after college. So when I was 22, 23, I think back in 2013, I moved down here. I had a brief interaction with a RE/MAX agent who a lot of you probably know, Robert Anderson, Bob Anderson. Bob got me started in the business back in 2013, and even a little bit when I was in college. Moved down here in 13 and really didn't know what I was doing. Didn't know anybody down here. All my family's back up in Minnesota. And so I just failed forward, essentially.
Yeah, appreciate that. You're going to hear a lot more from Kurt over the next hour here. So thank you, Kurt. We appreciate you being here. Next, I'm going to move over to I've got censored lights in my room. Next, I'm going to move over to Ryan. Ryan with Coldwell Banker. Same thing, Ryan. Would you mind giving us a little bit of a backdrop on who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So Ryan Skripkowski, Coldwell Banker. I run a team called the RSTS Group, and got licensed in 2015, actually early 2015. So 2016 was my first year in the business. So relatively, new as far as this area goes. There's definitely, So yeah, I mean, myself and my wife worked together. She got into the business a little bit before me, and it was really, I was running another company at the time, and it was really seeing her success and the potential path in real estate, which pushed me into this world. So yeah, and it was and over over the course of the 5-6 years in the business, we've gone into growing a team, which is just a complete different kind of different skill set required. So yeah, just looking forward to growing further, just progressing further from where we are today.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, and we're super appreciative of your backdrop. That balcony you live on is amazing.
There you go. Yeah, it's nice.
All right, I'm going to kick it over to Linda next. So Linda with Michael Saunders and Company, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Hello, everybody, and welcome. It's really a pleasure to be here on this team with everyone in this panel. So I'm probably going to date myself a little bit, but I moved here in 1981. Prior to a lot of you probably even being born, but decided to come and live in Paradise. I got my real estate license in 1993 and started with Michael Saunders. So I'm going to be celebrating my 27th year with the company. Nice. And it has been an amazing journey. I love it every single day. And I think the reason why I got in it is because people are really my passion. And I think we all have relationships that we've nurtured and we value in this business. So that's really what motivates me every day is getting to know more people and helping people establish a lifestyle.
Yeah, appreciate that. What an incredible timeline as well. Thanks for being here. And last but not least, by any means, Pam with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Would love to have you share a little bit with us about your backdrop as well.
Sure. Well, welcome everybody. I'm really excited to be here as well. So I moved here in 2007, which was obviously kind of a downturn in the market. We had not quite hit bottom. I was a realtor up in New England, moved here, didn't know anybody. And why I began real estate career was my husband and I had sold our business, and after purchasing, I think about 10 homes in like 3 years, he suggested, Pam, maybe you could help others buy houses instead of you buying houses. So that really is, sold a business, wanted a second career, and it just played out that way. So here I am.
Cassidy, if you could send Jesse down to help me with the lights, that'd be amazing, just to keep them on. So thank you. I, again, appreciate the four of you for being here. Let's jump right into some additional kind of backdrop questions. What I'd love to explore next is, what does your business look like today? We're amidst a major change in the way that business is being done, and I can only assume that you've brought some new systems and some new practices in your business to coincide with the precautionary things that are necessary to continue conducting business. And I'd love to learn a little bit more about what your business looks like today. How are you continuing to move the business forward?
I'll jump in. It's definitely a different business today than it was a year ago. My business has definitely slowed down, but that does not mean that I've slowed down. I still feel very fortunate that, again, going back to having a passion for the business, that I conduct my business the same way I do today that I did a year ago, but there may not be the demand for showing property like it used to be, or getting requests for certain properties to be shown, because there's definitely a concern with people on how we are operating our business. But though it may be different in the number of showings, I still conduct my business the same way.
And I can echo that. That's really good, Linda. And I agree with that. You know, just because the market, you know, March was very quiet. January and February, we can't forget, we're such strong real estate sales in this market area that for a lot of us that are top producers, that carried us pretty well, you know, through up till now. And I am seeing a definite increase in activity. That people are coming back. A lot of them still can't travel, but we are seeing activity. Definitely a shortage of inventory. Sellers are still very reluctant to put their home in the market. And just like you, Linda, you know, taking the precautions, you're making sure we're very conscious of what the sellers want, you know, as far as if they want masks or other things. And then increasing for sure the virtual, right? I mean, there's no doubt that even though we all did, the top producers, I know we all did some virtual. If somebody was out of town, you do a FaceTime, you know, walk through with them. Now it's becoming, you know, part of our daily activities.
The comment that you just made, Pam, around the activities and really the lead activities around what have been taking place, and then the results that are showing up down the road. The delay in our business is something I'd love to have you, any one of you, maybe talk about. This is a results-based industry, and there are a lot of lead activities and nurturing activities that need to take place throughout the course of the cycle of real estate that all add to that final result, that final finished product, if you will. And I think what Pam's speaking to is the fact that a lot of those lead activities may have been taking place prior to shutdowns and concern and kind of a paralyzed market that will have a delayed reaction for us in the future. And I'd love to know how that's being considered in each of your businesses right now.
So, yeah, I mean, if you know, I think about this a lot, Brian, actually, and I think it's a really good point, because what we do today, this is my belief of this entire business. The work that you put in today is essentially paid for in 6 months from now. You know, I'm a big prospector. You know, I love spending time on the phone, love doing everything that I can to book as many appointments as possible. And what I do is basically take the money that I've earned, and then look at how much time I've spent prospecting and calculate how much I'm earning when I'm actually on the phone, because really that's the money making time. You know, the time that you spend on the phone connecting with new customers, that's when you're making money. And I make about $500 an hour, you know, or when I'm on the phone, and I say to agents all the time, if somebody was there writing you a check for $500 for every hour that you spent on the phone, how many hours a day would you spend calling? And I mean, the answer is, you know, if there's 23 hours in a day, and if I could, you know, 24 hours in a day, you know, how much sleep can I get away? You know, it's literally, you would spend as much time as possible doing that. But we have but that is what we've got, you know, but you just don't have that person there writing the check for you right now. You get it in 6 months time. But if you don't spend the time, if you don't put the effort in now, today. And if you don't connect with those people today, then you won't get paid in 6 months' time. I hired an ISA once, and I just had them call in various leads, and I employed them for a year, and within that year, I never got paid from anything that they actually did directly. But after that year, I mean, we ended up parting our relationship. But after that year, after about 6 months, of me continuing to follow up with those people that have been cultivated, I started getting some. I actually put some multi-million-dollar deals together from what was started a long time ago with that ISA. So I think it's just patience, and understanding that today is incredibly important, and the work that you do today is incredibly important, but you're not gonna see the benefit of the work that you put in today for a long time, and to be willing to work with that and to run with that for a long time.
Yeah, good advice for sure. I'd love to transition to that big question around leads and where does your business come from. We've got a relatively diverse panel. I know each of you have built your businesses differently. Ryan gave us a little bit of a hint in terms of how he's gone after his business. Could I hear from the other three of you as well in terms of kind of your lead sources and your main primary focus areas?
I guess I'll jump in to start on that one. Not knowing anybody here when I first moved here, as one of the other panel members also indicated, I leveraged my relationships that I had throughout the country, because Sarasota is a draw, right? There are people that are gonna wanna come here, versus when I was in New England, people that were looking were really buyers because they were moving their family, very different market area. So I leveraged a lot of outreach in with those contacts. Of course, today it's all referral, right? If you do a good job and you keep your follow-up, and I just cannot stress that enough. If you want to know where your business comes from, it is your sphere first and foremost. You have to stay, even if somebody bought a year ago, yes, they may not buy or sell for another, 6 years, but life changes, they know people. So cultivating and growing every opportunity that you've had to service someone is to expand on that. So that's where a lot of my business comes from now, is repeat, or my sphere. Linda, I'm sure you could speak to that after this many years as well.
Yeah, I love that you shared that, Pam. Real quick before Linda, I do want to hear that. Could you give a couple little nuggets around what that looks like? Because you're right. We are on the radar. Sarasota and Manatee County, we are on the radar, and not just in the US, but across the globe. And we are in a very attractive place for a lot of individuals when it comes to relocation. And setting up shop, and a new lifestyle, and a cost of living, and a business advantage, tax advantage. What did that messaging look like out to that group that didn't live here? Was it email based, social media based, call based? Talk to us a little bit about the tactics.
Yeah, definitely technology, right? So at the time, Facebook was kind of just starting. Not that we don't have other digital methods of connecting, but certainly I will tell you, most people that I know from years of, my sphere, my family, their friends, my old colleagues up north, if they reach out to me, it's typically a message through Facebook. Hey, I got somebody that's looking for this, because it's so easy for them to reach us that way, that technology. I will give you a really good one. So originally from New England, many of us, including one, I think Debbie that you mentioned, that's coming from, is it Michigan?
Michigan.
So what I did is I used Tina Darling from IAS, and I had a database. I had her research who in the states that I was from, New England originally, but I started with New Hampshire because, you start with a budget. We'll talk about business in a minute. So I had her research everybody that owned property here, that owned, because by tax, right? If they were a primary resident, and Kurt, I can see you saying yes. If their primary address was in New England, I created a campaign that said, hey, we have a connection, right? We're both from New England. I'm now here in Sarasota. And we did a mailing and some other things. So that's actually a big one, guys. I'm giving you a good one for those of you that aren't from this area. And I will tell you, every time I did a mailing, I got business, okay? And she can dissect it by by value of homes or locations or whatever. But that's my gift to you guys today.
It's a
So.
great nugget. Thank you. I
That's awesome.
cut you off, Linda. You were gonna segue next.
I was just going to say that, definitely I would say that being in the business as long as I have been, majority of my business does come from personal referrals from past clients or friends. And I think it's just really important, though, for those new people that are listening into this conversation, that when I got started, I didn't have that. I didn't have those clients. So really what I did, and it's kind of funny because around Michael Saunders' office, if you popped in my office, there's a crown in there. It's not from winning a beauty contest. It's from being the queen of open houses, and it's from Burger King, so it's really quite fun. But there's not a better way to meet up with people, and it's not going to happen every Sunday, but you really want to try and just know that you've got to put the work in, and start doing these open houses and establish a relationship with maybe one or two people. And it might be only one person a month that you can establish a relationship with, but soon after that, that will definitely flow into more if you do not have that existing sphere of people to work with. So that is really how I got started in my business. I can tell you for the first 15 years in the business, I think I took 5 Sundays off a year. And it was just, continuously repeating, being able to do an open house. And if you don't have a listing, then do it with a coworker or someone's home that can draw some traffic. So
Yeah, that's a good point. I've been in the Sarasota, Manatee area long enough to know we've got a really friendly group of real estate agents, and almost across all of the brokerages, ask a colleague, someone that's been in the business for a while that's got listings, and they will happily give you the opportunity to hold their home open for them. And a great way to set up shop and to meet some new people as you're building out your sphere here.
And not just discouraged. What Linda just said is really important because it's consistency. I've seen many times where people are excited about doing open houses. And by the way, it's a great way to get business. But they'll do 2 or 3 or 4 weeks and then they're off. I didn't get any business. Well, the one time that you sell, your first home or pick up that first buyer, it is going to continue to blossom. So it has to be a commitment.
Yeah. And I don't know a better guy to talk about that. Kurt, if I can put you on the spot just a tad bit, I've had to get to know a bit about how you built your business, and you had at one point an open house strategy, and today you've got a very heavy prospecting based strategy. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm not as pretty as Linda and Pam, so I don't really wear well on people in open houses, and I don't have the patience as well. So I'm not a good open house guy. I'm just not. But for what it's worth, I think Ryan and I probably envy Linda and Pam's business to some degree. I know I do, Ryan. I don't mean to put words in your mouth,
100%.
But
their phone rings probably.
Right, exactly. Their phone rings, and for what it's worth, you guys, I want to give you big kudos there, because that is a business that I think Ryan and I are working to build. And so what I mean by that is people are calling you, your sphere is 100% your business. And that's a beautiful business. And frankly, I think that's a great quality of life. Now, shifting gears here, Ryan and I probably run ours fairly similarly to some extent. My business is built up of 3 to 4 pillars: expired listings, for sale by owners, my past clients and my center of influence, Pam, and then just listed, just sold. So those are my 4 legs of the table for my business. For sale by owners account for roughly 25 to 30% of my business. My sphere is roughly the same amount, maybe a little bit more, and expires make up the rest. So they're just listed, just sold, that maybe 1 or 2 here or there. But those are really the 3 core components of my business. And so, to put that in perspective for you, Alyssa and I were running our numbers yesterday. We're on track for about 85 transactions this year. So you can break that down to where that's all going to come from. What Ryan mentioned regarding your prospecting and calculating what you're worth. In my world, tracking your business is is absolutely critical. And I think for any new agent, it's critical to do that. You know, my phone doesn't ring that much. So I make other people's ring so I can get business. That's just how I run mine. I know I've called some of Pam's and Linda's expired listings. You know, I mean, I've been reamed out by agents. Don't call my client. Don't call my client. I'm sorry. You know, this is a no holds barred game. I respect everybody in it. I'm also here to build my business. And I get along well with all of you guys. You guys know that. And I would expect the same thing. Same thing from mine was canceled or expired. God bless the next agent that gets it, because this person needs help and I wasn't able to get it done. That's how I view it. So Brian, I don't know if that answers your question or if that raises more for you, but that's how I run mine.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that big time. The reality is, and for those that are tuning in today, you've got two strategies. You've got strategies out there of going after and ringing other people's phone, and you've got strategies for marketing and getting the word out there and having them ring your phone. And Kurt, I appreciate you for bringing that awareness into the conversation and encouraging our attendees to kind of consider, how do they want to build their business? What are they interested in doing to go after one, if not a combination of both of those approaches?
I have a question, Brian.
Yeah.
This is directed to Kurt. So Kurt, do you do your prospecting through picking up the phone and calling people, or is it through a direct mail?
Yeah, that's a good question, Linda. So very, very rarely will I, send out a blanket mailer or anything. I get to my office religiously at 6:30 every morning. I prep my numbers for, expireds, cancels, new for sale by owners. And then I personally role play and script practice with a role play partner in a group that I'm in across the East Coast of the United States. We rotate every single week. And then I phone call. So I pay for a service. It's called the Red X or Vortex, and it finds the information of expired, for sale by owner, and canceled listings. And that's when I will then call them. Full transparency, I get on the phone at 7:50 because I know there's an 8 o'clock rush. I'm in KW. KW is a highly focused business in terms of prospecting. So I get on at 7:50, and every single day somebody's going to tell me to go pound sand in a much more aggressive way than that, because I woke them up, if not multiple times. But like Ryan was saying, I was running my numbers. I'm worth $1,750 an hour on the phone. So every person that tells me no just gets me one step closer to a yes. And that's how I've always viewed it since I got in my coaching program.
I just want to step in on one thing, because obviously we've heard a number of different ways. So you have to find what works for you and what's comfortable for you. And calling and getting screamed at 7 in the morning might not be your thing. But we also, just as your former chair of professional standards and also currently on the committee, we do have to make sure a couple of things, because we're giving you lots of ideas, but make sure, you do have to kind of watch that do not call list at times, right? And then secondly, always make sure something could expire and then it could relist the next day. And I know, Kurt, you and I had one of those.
Yep.
And so it's not, and he was very gracious and said, hey, so just remember, don't forget your code of ethics when you're doing this. I don't know, feel like it was important.
Absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out, Pam. Yeah, absolutely, you guys. So you get the unbridled message from all of us, and Pam's right to bring that up. The do not call list and the standards and all that. So I'm just sharing with you exactly how I run mine. And unfortunately things happen, and you have to be gracious in the wins and gracious, when you do step on toes. That's what I've personally learned.
Go ahead, Linda.
I was just going to add one more thing to that, is that for the younger people that are getting started in the business and the real tech savvy people, it's really interesting is that recently I did an open house a couple months ago, and I am a big proponent of always following up with a phone call. I know that younger people like to text, and there's a time and place for it all, but I called this one potential prospect, and the first thing he said to me was, I cannot thank you enough for picking up the phone and calling me instead of sending me a text message.
Right.
So to those who are new in the business, You have to get over a very big 4-letter word, and that's called fear. You don't know this person. Pick up the phone, call them, let them hear your voice. Don't try to send a text message thinking that they're going to respond to you and say, hey, yeah, come list my house, or yeah, I want you to be my buyer's agent. It's just not going to happen. You have to pick up the phone. And I think that's obvious in what all of us are doing, is that we're on the phone constantly.
Yeah.
Very much so.
If we could kind of tackle that just for a quick moment, one of the questions I do have for you today is in terms of response time. What does that look like, and why is that so important to you?
As fast
Response time when leads are coming in, regardless of source. Go for it, Pam.
as fast as is possible. I mean, theoretically, within 2 to 3 minutes, if you can. Now, that's not always possible, and it does depend on, if it's somebody, that my sister is looking, okay, I'll call her this afternoon. That's a little different. But with opportunities that come in through, a lot, your company website, your website, Zillow, Trulia, any of those, you can rest assured that these prospects are not likely just clicking on you or just clicking on that one site. So the sooner you make the connection, the absolute better.
Let's talk a little bit about technology and systems, CRM systems, database systems. How do you organize your business? What kind of database or resource management tool do you have in place so that you're keeping up to date on your clients and your leads and your nurtures?
So yeah, I mean, we're big into CRMs. We use multiple systems. The CRM system that we use is Follow Up Boss. That then ties into our website, so we can look at, we can actually see, we can pull up a list of who's been on our website in the last 2 days, and we can, and I can look at which properties each one of those people looked at. So that's obviously a great side to the system. There's then the whole, dialers, using dialers to contact more people. Our dialer of choice is actually Mojo, which works really well for us, but it's certainly not without its faults. But then what we also have is a transaction management system, which basically, because what we're really big on, so the way that our team's structured, just to give you a little bit of context, with there's me and three agents in sales, 3 amazing agents in sales, and then we also have 3 on the operations side as well, which is broke up toward, essentially would be salaried positions, but one of them is my wife, so I'm not going to call it a salaried position. But she's essentially the marketing director. We have a transaction coordinator and a listing manager. So they have their systems, and it's ultimately like a project management, so that we get a signed listing agreement. It gets moved over to the operations team, and then the operations team put that into a system, so that we, and the whole thing is very smart. So for example, the marketing director isn't alerted that the brochures need to be made until the photographs have been received. So it's all, this whole chain of events that has to happen, and ultimately it's designed so that we can provide an amazing level of customer service and a uniform level of customer service to everybody that we're lucky enough to work with. So yeah, having those systems in place, and those, leveraging technology, automatic emails that go out from the sales side, from our sales CRM. We've got, drip campaigns, which have been put together for, for each particular lead source, and for each customer that falls into a certain status within our CRM. There's layers of triggers that are in place. And then also on the operations side, for example, there's automatic alerts that go out to our customers that say, hey, just to let you know, the inspection period ends in 3 days, and just we've definitely embraced automation and systems in a big way. And I feel like we could probably talk for the whole hour, if not more, about those. So I'll finish it there.
I also use Follow Up Boss. I do have that. And then, you know, one of the things that I've learned is I still embrace Excel, and I keep an Excel sheet that is what I would consider like, you know, my Bible of people, meaning I just keep it separate, and I have very much systems similar to you, the drip campaigns and all of that. But what I do is that one Excel sheet is like, these are the people that I never want to lose contact with. So it just doesn't get muddied up. It works for me. So these are the people that, you know, will always get, you know, a holiday card or Christmas card, or, you know, when I want to send something specific to. So I keep that a little bit separate, but Follow Up Boss is actually pretty good, where it's only me as an agent. You know, I think it would be much more useful if you have a team, because, you know, again, it's so integrated. So that, and then of course my other is for sure Dropbox. I mean, having things in the cloud that me and my assistants can access at any moment, and, you know, very much having systems so that things aren't slipshod everywhere. There's a place and a purpose for everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of conversation. I'm just reading between the lines in terms of like working in the business and working directly with customers and with clients and helping your sellers and your buyers. And then there's a lot of conversation around working on the business and within those systems and creating consistency in the way that you're doing business and the way that you're storing your files and the way you're working within your systems. I'd love to hear some conversation around how you juggle and how you balance working on your business versus in your business. What does that look like daily? What does that look like weekly? What's going through your minds when it comes to that balance between those very important topics?
I think that's great. And I don't want to talk too much because I did a lot of talking in the last one, but structuring time blocking time for those, I'm going to call them CEO activities, you know, is tremendously important. And I'm sure that people have heard this before. If you've ever, I think the book is in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, but there's essentially a quadrant, you know, and you've got tasks that are urgent but not important, and you've got tasks that are wait, let me just make sure I've got this right. So anyway, the tasks that are not urgent but important are the tasks that you need to structure, and just be committed to that time. And I try to spend 1 day a week, essentially the CEO day, where you're looking at where you're kind of taking a bird's eye view at the business and just making sure everything's in the right place, working on projects.
Yeah, sometimes we like to do things, but is that the most effective use of your time? Is that making you money, right? So, and every now and then we'll get off and you'll do something, but everything I do is this productive? One of the most important things is today, there is so much out there that is being shot at us. Read this, look at that, this video, that video, this Zoom meeting. You really have to, we have precious time in a day. So you really have to look at that. And as much as it's exciting to go on and see what so-and-so's doing, is that really the most effective use of your time? So again, for me, it's systems and checklists and assigning things to that could, my support staff that really are not the most important for me to be doing.
Good feedback. Any other additional comments on these topics before we move on?
I guess one other real quick thing. I think it's also very, very important to understand what you're good at and what you're not good at. And I would say that having that realization for me has been huge in the last few years. I mean, so looking at the board, I mean, we're actually at 24 closed and 24 pending so far this year. And so if we continue on this path, then we should get to 120 transactions for like 20, a little over 23 million right now, closed and pending. And I think that could have never have happened if I didn't realize the big faults that I have within my personality. And ultimately you've got to have people around you that you can delegate tasks to that you're just not good at, so that you can go all in at what you're good at.
Yeah. Who you do self-reflection and you assess what's going on and you identify opportunities for growth and improvement. Who's in your corner? Who are the 4 of you interacting with on a regular basis, and who's in your corner to help you see blind spots in the way that you're conducting business?
Hmm.
Well, for me, it's, my husband, we've known each other since we were 19, or I was 19, he's older than me, but, and, we ran a business together. So even though doesn't understand this business to the detail I do, he's always been. The other thing is coaching. Over time, I'm part of a mastermind group where, once a month I get together and there's about 15 agents from across the country, all different market areas. We share ideas. I mean, a coach is a good thing, I often ask people, that have come in, and Linda, I'm sure you get this one. I want to be a realtor. I want to sell real estate, right? Everybody thinks this is just an easy business that, so the first question that I've had to people is, why do you want to, market real estate? Many times it's, well, I want a flexible schedule, flexible to your customers, right? I want to make money. I like people. The answer that I'm looking for is, I want to run my own business. And if you think of it as a business, yes, I like to deal with people. Yes, you want a service. It's all of that. I want to make money. But the bottom line is, to be successful, I do believe you have to think of it as a business. So you need a business plan, a strategy. You've listened to Ryan, Curtis, what is it that you're doing to achieve? You have to have goals and stick to those, and then come up with the systems. And the education is endless on how to do that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Pam. My wife and my coach, she keeps me sane, and me being sane spots, red flags. And my coach, same thing, bouncing ideas off, and him keeping me accountable. Same thing as you, Pam. I have a mastermind group every Thursday. After I'm done with this call at 3:00, we've got a 3 to 3:30 call, right? My coach every Tuesday from 4:30. For 7 years now, I've had a coach from 4:30 to 5:00 every Tuesday. That's my coaching call. Not negotiable. Nothing else happens during
company, a strong company, an engine behind you. And again, that's a personal thing that you may or may not want to do that. But we're looking at the four of us, and we all work with reputable companies that, do have a lot of opportunities and tools and encouragement. Your broker, your manager, if you have a good one. And if you don't, then it's not the right company for you. Linda, you've been with the same company for 27 years.
Right.
I would have to say, I'm kind of accountable to me, myself, and I. So, I'm a very self-driven person. I've established a lot of goals, personally, like running marathons or doing triathlons. So I think that, in past years, that's helped me, when I have a goal like that to run a marathon, to be dedicated to the training. So I use that same premise as to, I need to conduct my business the exact same way. I mean, during this whole COVID thing and lockdown, it was kind of a little bit of a joke between my husband and I. I'm very fortunate that I have a separate structure on my property that is my office. And, I would say to him at 8:21, hey, am I going to make it to my office by 8:30? But, I think coaching is great. When I first got started in the business, after I made a little bit of money, that I remember using Tony Robbins as his network as a coach. I attended a lot of his seminars, but again, I try to surround myself with very healthy-minded people, and I'm not afraid to ask. I also have the most amazing teammate assistant who we just both click. So again, I think coaching is awesome. I really commend all of you that have that time set aside, and maybe I need to do a little more of that so that I can have all those big numbers like Ryan's got on his board. So, again, I think you got to use whatever works best for you. But the thing about this business is that if you are not a driven person, if you are not a self-motivated person, it's going to be a very hard nut to crack.
And that's okay, right? There's businesses for everybody. But I agree with Linda like 100%. We are accountable every morning, even, the first week of downtime with COVID, everybody's at home, not doing anything. I woke up one morning and said, this is crazy. Get your butt in your office, right?
Yeah,
and then I started doing all the systems, cleaning up the database you haven't done, writing personal notes, for goodness sakes. If you're not writing personal notes, that's a problem. So, I kicked myself in the butt and said, okay, you've had a week of downtime, let's go. And, it's since then, I mean, in the last 6 weeks, I don't know. I mean, I won't get into specific numbers, but, I've had a number of sales and a number of listings coming on. So
Yeah.
Focus.
What I'd like to do is shift gears a little bit to customers and clients and how you work with them. So let's fast track into the idea that, you've secured an appointment. You've got an appointment with a buyer or with a seller to sit down and to start that process. What are some of the next step activities or tactics to ensure that they honor that appointment and that you're preparing properly to go in and to do business with that individual?
I mean, I can address that briefly. I don't have the patience for buyers. I just don't. Plain and simple. I very, very, very rarely will work with buyers. Fortunately, my business has transitioned into mainly listing based, so I'll address that point. I have a very regimented process from when the appointment is set with a seller and understanding where they're going, understanding what their timetable is, understanding how I need to help them, right? So I ask a number of questions to be prepared for the appointment. I don't follow all the steps my coach has asked me to, and that's on me. There are more steps that I could be following, but I don't. So before I get there, I want to have some sense of where they're going and how I'm supposed to be helping them, their level of motivation, etc. And from there, then we're going to expand in person about what we need to do to accomplish the home sale, which at that point will help them either, go and buy a house or get the investment money out of that particular property, whatever it is. But they're not going to work with me on a buy side, even if they're my listing, unless it is extremely easy for me. And it goes back, I think, to what Ryan had said. I'm not good with buyers. I don't have the patience. I just don't. And because of that, they wouldn't get the level of customer service that they need from me. So I give them to another agent that gives me a referral back that is going to treat them the same level that I'm treating them on the listing side. So I want to make sure they have a great experience the whole way through. And if I'm not going to provide it on the buy side, then I'm going to make sure that their experience is not sabotaged because of my laziness. So that's my nutshell answer for that question.
To my panelists, really quick, it's Cassidy. I just want to jump in. Any panelists replying to any of the chat, please make sure you're clicked on all panelists and attendees, not just panelists in the chat. I know some of you are replying just to the panelists, so they can't see that. So thank you.
Got it.
Thanks, Cassidy. Anyone else have any feedback to offer in regards to kind of prepping for that appointment, making sure that you're in the right headspace and that you're ready to go in and work with that buyer or seller, depending on the nature of your business in a high way?
So sorry, Pam.
Go ahead, Ryan.
No, please, you go. I'm sure it's better than mine. Seriously.
No, probably not, but I'll make it kind of brief. So I think managing the expectations, always listening to the customer and finding out what it is they expect of you, what level of communication. So if you have a buyer, sometime you'll have a buyer that's looking, I don't want you to share every listing. I don't want to just get all of this, listen and find out what they want. And then of course, education on your end. So every opportunity for seller, you better go into that appointment knowing more than you knew before about the market, about the neighborhood, really do your research. So I guess in preparation for it, on the selling side is making sure that you really show how knowledgeable you are. And I say this to the newer agents that don't have a lot of business. You still can figure all this out, right? You don't want to go in and say, have you sold anything in the neighborhood? No. That's fine to say no, but I know this. You have to bring a higher level of knowledge to every customer because it's a trust factor, right? It's building trust that you are going to be that trusted advisor.
Mm-hmm. It's a huge transaction for them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Just to summarize, I heard amongst the couple comments there, I heard the motivation and understanding by having done that pre-qualification, if you will, before we're going into that appointment. I heard an expectation and an understanding of what they're looking for. I heard ask questions and listen to what they're saying and respond accordingly, and be that fiduciary for them, if you will. The education and the research, Pam, you bring that up as well, and go into that knowing, and then if there's something that comes up in there that you don't know, following up afterwards so that you know that for next time. And then anticipating those objections. I forget who just mentioned that, but anticipating those objections and understanding exactly what it is that you have to offer around that objection, and giving them that peace of mind that they are in fact in good hands and working with you. When you think about these customers and these clients, and you kind of reflect on the business that you've done, what's the common objection, or what's the common deal breaker or issue that you've experienced over the years that you've pivoted and you've adjusted on since?
Elaborate on that question though, Brian, when you say the objection with regards to working with us, or with regards to...
What was the common thing that you noticed, the trend when you were first launching your business that repeatedly came up, and you figured it out quick, and you rebounded, and you've taken over since?
Well, I think for me, it was... Go ahead, Linda.
So I was just going to say a couple things here is that, whenever I go on a listing appointment, they're not only interviewing me, but I'm also interviewing them. And I think because of my experience over the years of taking on listings that, when you go in, you get this really gut feeling that this is just not going to be a good scenario. And I think I learned that I took those listings, and during the time period of taking those listings, it made me lose focus on like my everyday activity, because that seller would be so consuming. So I want to share with newer agents and to any agent that it is okay to turn a listing down if you really get a very intuitive feeling that this is not going to work. It's not going to matter what you do. It's not going to matter what you spend on marketing. It's not going to matter how many open houses. They're just a very confrontational person. So that goes back to what I just said at the beginning. I will interview the seller or a buyer just as much as they're interviewing me, because it's just not going to work out. Let me think what was my other train of thought that I had on that subject. I just lost it.
It'll come back to you.
Come back to me.
Great
I'll think
point,
of it in a second.
It's a two-way street.
Yeah, I hope that adds some insight to some of this. So,
for me, initially, it was when you don't have the proven results and be able to say, I sold $39 million last year, right? So when you don't have that as a new agent, how do you do this? Well, for me, what I sold my customers on was the fact that I had a business acumen. I was in sales and marketing for a long time. And above all, people want to deal with people that are confident, not arrogant, but right, Kurt, you're shaking your head, confident, knowledgeable. And so one suggestion, Ryan, you have a team. So you could say, if this is the case, find an agent. This is if you're brand new, find an agent that is willing to work with you and mentor you a little bit. I've helped some agents through the companies that, this company that I've worked with. And, I work with Pam Sharon. She's a top agent in the market area. She's there to help me through this, give me an opportunity. So you have to find out what's right for you, but you have to be confident and and find something. You have to find that answer to that question, but you don't have any business. You haven't sold anything. Why do I want to trust you? So either partner with somebody for the first transaction, an agent, even if you're sharing part of the commission. One, you learn a lot from that as well. And then two, find something within you that, why are you in the market and what do you bring to the party? You've got to know what you bring to the party.
Right.
Really good feedback. So we've got a couple moments left, not too much more time. What's on the horizon? And feel free to respond however you see fit, but what's on the horizon for you and your business and the goals that you've got? What's on the horizon for the future of real estate? What's next when you think about real estate?
personally, I'm excited about the future of real estate. I mean, I know that there's a lot of, the I mean, depending on what you're reading, the experts in the industry, are certainly predicting different things in the future. But I mean, so my first broker, Robert Milligan, who a lot of people know, he always said this thing to me, and it always stuck in my mind. Is like, he says, Ryan, there's no good real estate market, and there's no bad real estate market. There is a real estate market. Sometimes that market serves some, and then other times it serves others. So as agents, what we need to do is position ourselves so that we are understanding who the market is serving at any given time. And who knows, that might change in the future, but the people that are smart are going to change with the change. They're going to change with the market and change their model as they need to. And there will definitely be be changes in the future, and the winners will always continue to win, and the losers will always continue to lose. And we've got to do everything that we can in our power to be winners. I mean, we have a personal goal we want to be a $100 million producing team with a small group of people, a very small group of people producing at a very high level. That's ultimately our dream for the future. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's running the country. It doesn't matter what happens to the price of real estate. It doesn't matter what the stock market does tomorrow. There is one thing that matters, that none of that is going to get in the way of us being a $100 million producing team in the not so distant future, I hope. It's, the only thing that's going to get in the way of us being that is us not sticking to the plan. Not sticking to the plan of going on so the plan's very simple. We go on a certain number of appointments every single week. That's it. We just keep going on appointments. We just keep meeting with new people. We just keep adding more value to the people that we're lucky enough to connect with. And, and we will all grow together. And we're in a fantastic market here where, everybody that's on this call today, everybody that's watching, we're all truly blessed to be selling property in paradise, and I think we'll always be an attractive option for anybody that wants to find a new home in Florida.
Well said.
Agreed.
Totally.
So I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and we've literally just come to the end of our time at 1 o'clock here. This is goofy not being able to give a round of applause to our panelists, but I hope the four of you know how much we appreciate, your time and your expertise and all the knowledge that you've shared. The biggest message I want you to hear at the conclusion here for our attendees is that you've got an incredibly robust real estate association within Sarasota and Manatee County. The amount of expertise you've got within the board, the number of events and training and resources that they make available for all of us, it is unbelievable. And these four individuals right here are evidence of the types of access and the types of mentorship abilities that you have within the community here. So pay attention. Watch the messages that are coming across, get involved in the board, connect with individuals like the ones that you've seen featured today here, and model the successes that they've had so that you can find that same kind of success in your businesses as well. Ask the questions and look for the resources. There's a lot out there. So stay tuned and watch for more in the future. This is one of a series of events that the board hosts every single month. And throughout the course of the year, you're going to see a lot more stuff like this, and hopefully have a chance to meet these four individuals in person when things make sense to be able to do so. I really appreciate the four of you so much. Thanks for taking the time today.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I enjoyed it.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Happy
you, Brian.
selling.
Be safe.
See you soon, everybody.
Bye. Bye, Pammy.
Bye. See you later.
I'll call you. Let's go have coffee.
Love it.
All right. Sounds good. Bye.